The ATOS share experienced an incredible surge of over 1,000% within just a few days, making it one of the most exciting stocks recently. However, today the share price plummeted by up to 90%. In this video, we'll explore the potential reasons behind such a drastic fall and draw lessons from this case. When a stock drops around 90% in a day or a few days, there are typically three potential causes. First, it could be a Wirecard-like scenario where a massive fraud is uncovered, causing the entire company to collapse like a house of cards. The second potential cause particularly affects pharmaceutical companies developing new drugs. For a drug to succeed, it must go through various testing and approval steps. If any study fails along this cascade of approvals, we often see pharmaceutical stocks plummet. The third case, which seems to apply to ATOS, is somewhat different. To understand why ATOS share price skyrocketed at the end of the month, we need to look at a combination of factors. Initially, the stock had already risen sharply due to a split, drawing public attention. Then came the news that the French state wanted to acquire part of the company's high-performance computing and edge-cutting divisions to stabilize the struggling firm. The reason behind ATOS's struggles is simply the company's massive debt burden, amounting to several billion euros, with no clear path out of this debt crisis. On October 24, 2022, the Monterrey Commercial Court approved an accelerated protection plan aimed at stabilizing the company and restructuring its financing. The main goal was to keep the heavily indebted company afloat. To raise new funds, ATOS announced on November 8th that it would increase its capital. The company aimed to raise around 233 million euros by issuing approximately 63 billion new shares at a subscription price of less than 1 cent. To give you a sense of the absurd subscription ratio, it was around 13,509 new shares for every 24 existing shares. This massive dilution, combined with the fact that this corporate action was only open to the French market, explains the huge drop we're witnessing today. The key question now is who will exercise their subscription rights and who won't, adding another layer of risk. It's crucial to understand the high-risk category of this stock. If we consider the absolute peak, an almost 99% loss from that unrealistic high point would be possible. Of course, the share wasn't really liquid, and opening a position at such extremes shouldn't have been easy either. The key lesson from ATOS is that penny stocks with such fundamental issues are extremely risky and unsuitable as long-term investments from a financial standpoint. Penny stocks face increased risks for various reasons, including low liquidity, where little trading volume can significantly move prices. Even placing an order incorrectly can lead to unintended expensive purchases due to the lack of liquidity. These factors amplify the risk of such stocks. For long-term investing, you must carefully assess a company's stability, and ATOS' difficult situation made it an inadequate long-term investment in recent months and years. In the short term, however, the situation is different. As discussed in an earlier video, if you're willing to risk losing all your money for a short-term position, you could have participated in ATOS's run. We analyzed the chart situation on November 27th, where the sideways movement and volume profile looked promising for opening a position and liquidating it again minutes later. Given the extreme volatility, it's crucial to take profits extremely quickly, within minutes rather than days or weeks. ATOS has fallen sharply, and we're currently around 2 cents, with slightly higher trading volume due to the increased number of shares. However, the stock remains unsuitable for anyone with an investment horizon beyond perhaps an hour. The reason is simple. The stock is still not very liquid, and we see extreme volatility in the minute chart, with prices sometimes swinging 30% up or down. I recommend staying away unless you're prepared to potentially lose everything quickly for a speculative play. While there was an argument in an earlier video for taking a small gamble if you're willing to lose it all, the volatility and lack of liquidity due to fundamental problems make this an unsuitable stock. The news situation excessively determines the price, which is not ideal. Of course, you're welcome to have a different opinion. If you believe ATOS is a stock suitable for the future, share your thoughts in the comments. I'm definitely looking forward to exchanging ideas with you because any decision here is essentially a bet. If you want to analyze the stock further, you'll find a link to the website I use in the description. We'll see you in the next video. If you have any video requests, let me know in the comments. Soon there will be videos again for stocks that don't necessarily follow the nature of an ATOS share, but I still need a little time to develop the right plan for myself. On the one hand, the topic of liquidity is always on space, which means there are very few shares, so you don't have to take any money into your hand to move the price. But that's the problem. But even if you issue an order and make a little mistake in the ordering technique, then it can be that one, for example, is much more expensive by as much as you want, and you will notice that there's little liquidity, there's little stock, there is little trading. These are all factors that increase the risk of such a stock. If you want to invest in the long term, you always have to ask yourself the question of how stable the company is. And a company that is in such a difficult situation, Viva ATOS has not been an adequate long-term investment in the last few months and years. In the short term, the situation is different. I also discussed this in an earlier video. It is quite simply like that. When you are here, in the short term, wants to open a position and is ready is to lose all your money, or at least simply offer the willingness. It doesn't have to happen. But in many cases, it is obvious, then you could have taken part in the whole run. We have looked at the whole situation in terms of charts in previous videos. For example, on November 27th, seen there was a sideways movement, the volume profile was promising. You could also see the interpretation of the whole thing in the earlier video, and there would have been an opportunity to open a position and liquidate it again a few minutes later. Because what you shouldn't forget here is that simply because of the extremes of constraint, given the high volatility, it is very important to take profits extremely quickly, so you don't have to wait days or weeks. But ideally, just a few minutes later, given the dynamics that we can see here, ATOS has fallen very sharply, and we are currently at around 2 cents. As we can see that the trading volume is of course a little higher, simply because there are now many more stocks that are being traded. So that is not surprising in my opinion. But the title is still not suitable for anyone who had an investment horizon that extends more than perhaps an hour into the future. And the reason is simple, that the title is still not really liquid. We see a very high volatility in the minute chart. The price sometimes falls by 30%, rises by 30%. So stay away. And if you really want to speculate here, be aware that the money comes very, very, very quickly, can be gone. So I recommend you don't get involved. But of course, if you want to say, and that was an argument in the earlier video, you just want to play a little bit, you're prepared to lose everything. And possibly in the unlikely scenario, you can also take a bit of profit with you. Then you can look at this title, but personally, I would stay away from it because it is simply a story that of course ran fantastically at the end of November. But you can tell from the volatility and the fact that the title is not liquid due to all the fundamental problems. The fact that the news situation determines this price excessively, that this is just not a suitable title. That was also a bit of my pessimistic view of the share. If, of course, you are of the opinion that there is no pump here, so to speak, this is a share that is for the future, is then suitable. Write it in the comments. You are welcome to have a different opinion. I'm definitely looking forward to exchanging ideas with you, because if you make a decision here, you're of course always making a bit of a bet. So write me your opinion in the comments if so. If you want to analyze the stock, you will find a link in the description to the website that I use here. And yes, we will see you in the next video. If you have any video requests, write it to me in the comments. There will soon be videos again for titles that are not available now. Necessarily the nature of an ATOS share follow, but I still need a little time to develop the right plan for myself. See you in the next video. Have a nice weekend. Until next time, and ciao.